Alrighty. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Today is a webinar on navigating the risks of disjointed connectivity solutions in conjunction with Sophos and NBN. We've actually just been traveling around doing these in person, but not everyone could join us due to traveling distances and things like that. So we thought it would be a great topic to do as a webinar. So a little bit different than usual today. There is a lunch is on us. We did this as a lunch and learn in a few different places, so we thought it was only fair to extend that to everyone online as well. So if you are an Aussie MSP, you should have already received your vouchers, but if you haven't, reach out to us on the chat. Jesse is standing by to sort any issues out that you might have. But let's get into it. So today's agenda, we're going to be discussing why we're here, what we as hosted networks see in the market around disjointed connectivity issues and what issues they cause. Aaron from Sophos will be running through some cyber insights and what we're working on jointly with him and his team. And then we've got the guys from NBN to discuss the right connectivity solutions. And all of this will start to come together. And then towards the end, I'm going to just cover off what we're working on at Hosted Network to try and improve some of these things for you guys. Make sure that you've got the right tools, and that you're equipped to tackle the problems that we see in market. So first of all, why are we here? This is part of our effort to change the narrative around connectivity, right? We see a bunch of different, things happen from the hundreds of MSPs that we support, from support issues due to productization issues, which impact you guys, your margins, and so on. But we want to discuss what is working, but also what a best of breed solution actually looks like and why it's important to get it right from the word go. And then, like I said before, touch on some of the improvements that we're working on to, make sure that you guys are equipped with that. So what do we see in market? We see a lot of different things, I guess. Primarily from a support perspective, though, we support 200 plus MSPs, and I've had escalation calls from many of you. We've had productization calls with many of you, and what often happens is that support issues arise primarily from a disjointed approach, a solution that hasn't been properly productized from the beginning. And that causes headaches both for you guys as the MSP and your customer, but ultimately it hits your margins, right? Connectivity should be a solution that drives revenue within your business, and as an MSP drives up your EBITDA. But where we see support issues arise is quite often that the connectivity type is incorrect. There's no SLA on the service. If there's even though we provide you guys 24/7 support, regardless of what you purchase from us, if we don't have the right SLA backing with the carrier, we can only help you so much. And then we sort of go through for potentially incorrect firewalls or no firewall at all, potentially a vulnerable router or something like that. Quite often at the moment, we're seeing a lot of routers that aren't up to date, firmware that isn't being up to date. So those sort of things cause frustration for you guys as MSPs when the issues arise. But it means that the time to resolution often gets quite heavily impacted. So your customer's impacted for longer, which impacts your relationship and slows everything down there. So that's a little bit about what we see, and we'll sort of I'm going to throw over to Aaron now to sort of run through some of the insights and what they're doing in conjunction with Hosted Network to sort of help tackle some of this. So Aaron, I'll stop sharing and I'll let you share. But awesome. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ben. Hello, everyone. Great to be here with you all. So just get this going. Now, I think you should be able to see this momentarily. All right.
We've done this in person, so let's see how this goes virtually, hey?
This is all right. So you can see that, Ben? Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So everyone, look, Aaron from Sophos here. Want to talk to you about security, what we're seeing and what we're doing and stuff we're doing with Ben, as we mentioned. But I want to start by playing a little game. Now, I want you to do this. Obviously we're all virtual today, so do it yourselves, and just think about this. And you don't have to keep your hand up as I'm going to suggest here, but just have a little mental flag going of, with your customers and your environments and your monitoring tools, your RMM, your security stack, things like that. Just think, would you know if a customer's server went down? Now, I don't mean the scream test, as in I don't mean customers calling you up and telling you it's down. I mean, would you proactively know in the middle of the night that it happened? And if you're still good, your hand's still up, okay, would you know if someone has installed software on a server or workstation, perhaps a remote access tool like Go to Assist or TeamViewer or something like that? If you still got your hand up virtually in your head, what about if your antivirus product was uninstalled or disabled? Would you know? And would you know proactively, like at that point, or would you realize on Monday morning if it happened on Friday night? Just thinking through these things, what if someone started running PowerShell that downloaded something from GitHub 2 a.m. on a random computer in one of your customers' environments? Would you know? And would you know if someone was uploading a whole bunch of data to a site like Mega? I ask those questions to keep it in mind because these are the types of things we see. We see these attacks happen all the time. And I'm going to take you through a real incident response case now. So just be conscious of that. Think about what I said. It happens every day. It happens all the time, and it's really important. And hopefully you'll see why from what I go through. So this was a real incident response case. Customer was around 200 employees based in Sydney. So we do a service that is effectively a proactive call-out service to our antivirus customers, and this was one of those. Now, we observed these detections, and we did a call-out to the customer. We alerted them and said, hey, we are seeing some things in your environment that look weird. Now, this is not a managed detection customer. We're not doing this. This is a proactive thing we do for a normal antivirus customer, just like any of your customers out there. And we sort of suggested that they need to look. In this scenario, we saw something was tampering with the antivirus. So it was trying to stop it effectively. And it was at a weird time of the day. Now, the customer was concerned with those observations, but like many of you out there, had too much to do. It was only one person looking after this environment. He didn't understand what we were telling them. Now, as we dug in deeper, we were trying to show that on one of their servers, we were seeing detections, we were blocking them, but someone was trying to disable the antivirus. And as we dug in through that call, we saw it actually had been progressively moving around their server environment. So one by one, someone effectively ultimately was turning off the antivirus and managed to break it. And what that led to was their domain controller. And so at that point, I was sort of pointing out to them, someone's on your domain controller, it's not you. And this was happening at 11 o'clock on a Friday night. So they engaged us for what we call our rapid response, which is our sort of dedicated incident response service. We neutralized that attacker, we removed their access. And in this scenario, it was fantastic because we kicked them out before ransomware ever dropped. But in that scenario there, we were only hours away from them stealing data and deploying ransomware. And I tell you this story because I want you to understand that this can happen to anyone. I've worked with about 3 MSPs over the last 3 weeks in Sydney that have all had customers impacted, and it's all been through things that they just ever so slightly missed, whether it was something not patched, whether it was an account compromised. So when I say not patched, a vulnerability in the environment that the MSP thought was covered, but it wasn't. These things are important. So in this scenario, we identified the root cause and the timeline of the events. And like I said, fortunately, we were able to get on this one just between the detection and the actual ransomware event, which is really, really important. I don't want any of you on the call today to ever have to go through a ransomware situation for your customers if you can avoid it. And what I'm getting at with this is that someone watching is important. We saw this passively and reached out to this customer, but we have a service that does this for them. But had the customer seen this themselves, they would have been able to get in front of this earlier. So for you guys as MSPs, that's really what I'm saying. You need to be across what's going on in your security stack. And in this scenario, it was a unpatched server that the attacker managed to make their way in, and then they moved laterally through the network. So I just wanted to give you an example of this, and just to really keep on that point is really just looking at your antivirus, whatever product you're using out there, and making sure you are managing it. And unfortunately, in today's world, you need to manage it 24/7. So in this screen here, you can see what I'm talking about. This is an example of a server, a Sophos product, protecting it. And as you can see here, there was a whole bunch of PUA, potentially unwanted applications, that were dropped on a machine at 1 in the morning, and we cleaned them up. Great, job well done. But you need to be conscious of what that means. If you look a little bit more closely at the screen, we can see it's 1 in the morning. That's the first flag, right? Who's dropping these things at 1 in the morning? The second thing is these tools are designed to break antivirus products. That's literally what they are there to do. The third thing to note is that it's in the administrator profile. So if you saw detections like this on your antivirus product and thought, great, my antivirus got rid of it, high five antivirus, that's the wrong approach. You need to be conscious that if this wasn't you, then who was it? These things don't randomly appear on a network by themselves. So moving on from there, I want to just really highlight and get you thinking about this as well. And on this same topic of alerts and security, and we all know how bad a problem security is. You know, you're probably all across, and hopefully you are, the latest Microsoft Outlook CVE that's going around. It's another one that just another CVE, another 0 day that we all have to deal with in the MSP world. Now, if you look at your environment, this is a very simplistic network diagram, and think about where you have layered protection. Now, just as a bit of an example, you would have email, so spam filtering, you would have endpoint products on your servers and workstations, so your antivirus or EDR tools. You will have firewalls, you'll have identity providers like Azure AD or Okta or Duo, these types of tools are common. You know, you'll have cloud protection, whether that's Microsoft 365 or Azure or AWS or whatever those workloads that are serverless, if you have those. These products that exist that you put in, and MSPs, you know, we really think about protecting our customers, they all give off very valuable telemetry. And like I just spoke about in the last slide, that was just antivirus. And that told us a really big picture from that straight there. It told us that there was someone on the environment. And if that went unmeasured, that can lead to ransomware, and pretty much always does lead to ransomware. But any one of these products has really valuable telemetry that's telling you signals, and you can get in front of the attack earlier. So I really encourage you guys to all be aware and think about those things and think, all right, well, who's really looking at the email filter logs, and who's looking at the firewall logs? The firewalls report really, really important telemetry. They're not just there as a sort of gate open, gate closed. Ben, I know you speak about this a lot. You know, there's a big difference between an actual firewall doing as a security appliance versus just a NAT router that's just letting them come in or letting them come out. A lot of people put in firewalls. Closed. Yeah, that's right. So a lot of people and a lot of MSPs put in a firewall product and think, okay, great, that's it. That's just there. It's just open and closed. And sure, it is. And there's a proper firewall, a security appliance is doing a lot more than that and protecting the environment. But even more so, it's also logging everything that's going on in the environment. So it's not just saying, hey, I did block this, which, like I told you just a second ago, could be a really, really good indicator that someone's on your network. It's also logging what it hasn't done and what's it observed. So if you make a firewall rule and say, you know, open this port and allow this traffic and please don't inspect it and block anything, it won't, because you've asked it to, but it will still log what's observed. And those signals are really, really interesting. The next piece that's important with firewalls is they log the traffic flowing through. So when I spoke about how would you know if someone's uploading a whole bunch of things to Mega, for example, when we get into incident response and forensics, we need that firewall there to be able to look at that telemetry and go through exactly what's occurred.
Which just tying back to the webinar a couple of weeks ago that we did, really ties in very importantly if you do have cyber insurance or your customer has cyber insurance, to ensure that there's a payout at the end of it and that their cyber insurance is actually valid. So, you know, that root cause analysis, that forensic is kind of critical.
Absolutely. So if you're already thinking this, that's because that's pretty much the reality. Cybersecurity has become too complex for most organizations to manage effectively. And being an ex-MSP, I can honestly say I feel like it's very, very hard for MSPs to manage effectively now. Great, easy to throw products at it and protect it, but that 24/7 detection and response is the real problem. So moving ahead, this is something that Secure Network, Ben's going to talk a little bit more about this later, but thinking about your networks and your customers' environments in a different way, I want you to look at this diagram and just think, okay, great, maybe this makes a little bit more sense. Putting your products here, we have, and in this model, it gives you nice, great, strong connectivity through to your sites. all using the hosted network and MBN layered links, all through the secure network product of theirs. It can bring a virtual single firewall centralized on the hosted network infrastructure that all of your customers' sites route back through. So that's really, really important because one, it means less firewalls to manage, but two, you have a nice central spot of aggregation for web filtering, security layers, and things like tracking what's going in and out of the network. So from a forensics perspective, it's really, really great. Now, where the Sophos MDR part comes on top of that is all of those logs that I spoke about, MDR being managed detection and response. That service that we run, we watch that for you. So it doesn't have to be Sophos products. We integrate with other products as well, but the key is that we're watching all of your security telemetry and logs from endpoints, servers, your identity providers like Azure AD and Microsoft 365, all of the alerts that come from Microsoft 365 from the other products there, moving into other cloud, AWS, moving into email platforms such as Mimecast, Proofpoint, or Microsoft. All of these things we can integrate with, we can watch, and then we can react if we see something 24/7, and we can respond as well and take on your behalf. So really good way of thinking about it is that if things kick off at 2 a.m, as you MSPs hopefully are sleeping or partying, whatever it is that you're doing at 2 a.m, we handle that for you. And if it's really, really bad, we're going to call you and wake you up. Otherwise, we're going to handle it on your behalf and deal with it and get rid of that threat. So really important piece there. Now, we do a lot more technical stuff with these alerts, but I don't have time to go into that today for you. So feel free to reach out to Ben or myself and we can go through what that does. But just understanding that if we are watching your environment, we do have $1 million breach protection warranty on top of that. So combining with the secure network service from hosted network can give you a really great edge layer. It can give you the secure environment that you need. It can give you the great connectivity and throughput you need in a really neat package, which Ben will speak about a lot more later. And so really just coming to wrap up for myself, I'm Sophos MDR. We are doing, and I know this is a super quick run through of the product. So it's a bit of time. It's been a speed dating session for this one today, Ben, but at the end of the day, what we are doing for over 15,000 customers now is doing that proactive threat hunting, that threat detection, the part that, to be honest, you probably don't want to do as an MSP. I would encourage you not to because it's boring and hard and expensive. We do that threat detection across your entire environment. And then more importantly, we do the incident response. So if something does kick off, we are there to clean up, remediate, get them out and give you a lovely report that tells you what happened. So I think I'll leave it there, Ben. I think I managed to stay on time.
Yeah, I think that was staying on time. So well done. The speed dating version, love it.
Speed dating version, that's it. All right.
I guess, guys, we're limited to an hour here, and we do respect your time. So we are trying to get through the bulk of what we have been talking about in person. You will see more of bits and pieces about what we're talking about today. And if you've got any questions, obviously feel free to ask. Cool. All right. Well, AJ, thank you for that. I'll get Kourosh to share his slide. So in conjunction with Sophos and NBN, like I said at the beginning, disjointed solutions are primarily, the cause for the bulk amount of support tickets that we see, which is why we're trying to provide a little bit of education around what is right and what that best of breed solution looks like. And security in today's world plays a critical part. But obviously, so does the underlying connectivity. And more often or not, unfortunately, we see that the wrong connectivity type is implemented for a business. And typically a residential service is actually installed, which is why we've asked Kourosh to speak today on what a suitable connection for business would be. So Kourosh, over to you.
Thanks, Ben. Can you see the screen?
Yep, sure can.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks. Okay, so you're all familiar with TC4. TC4 is the service you get at home, and you get it in certain businesses. Now, the standard SLA on that is best effort. So if we get a service call on a Friday, we have to get back to you by close of business Monday. You're out for 3 days. So it's not a great experience for a business that's running 24 hours over the weekend doing weekend trading. So what we have is TC4 for Business, which comes with an enhanced SLA, which is a 12/24/7 service. So on that Friday, if your customer gets the fault on the service, as long as they're happy to wait by the phone, somebody will get in touch with them within 12 hours, and they can get it resolved over the weekend. So not to leave their business off for too long. In fact, hosted networks have actually really delineated between the TC4 for Business and TC4 for Residential. And it's really clear to understand that TC4 for Business, it's got the business SLA. The calls actually get routed to our business service center in Melbourne. They don't go through a regular call center. So you're not behind every person using, waiting for their fortnight download. And the texts that are sent out are actually texts that are more savvy with getting into businesses. So they're aware of access protocols and whatnot.
Dealing with MDFs, building
MDFs, exactly,
those sort of things, right? So
yeah. Now, to kind of even make that business offering better, in certain fiber to the node and fiber to the curb areas, you already have the opportunity to upgrade those sites to FTTP on demand. And what that means is the site will get upgraded to FTTP. The only caveat there is you have to remain on a higher speed contract for 12 months. So that gives you the ability to lock your customer in as well. So this would be a good time to talk to your customer if they've got the capability of getting on these fiber upgrades and lock them into a business grade TC4 plan.
Yeah, we
the
actually, sorry, I was just jumping in there. We actually you send you a report weekly for any partners that have services that are eligible for upgrade, and you can see that when you service qualify a service from our partner portal. So make sure you take advantage of those.
Wonderful. And the last one is smart places. Look, from this month on now, we can actually, anywhere within our fixed line footprint, we can deliver both enterprise Ethernet and TC4 services. So this will be traffic lights, smart poles, smart displays, anything like that. So again, talk to hosted networks if you've got an opportunity for that, and they can follow that up with NBN. We'll run a new fiber connection to that particular site, and there's no NTD. We'll give you it'll be on an SFP connectivity direct into your device. So there's no need for additional power, additional boxes, or anything like that. Space, in particular, is very limited in these things. So that's where we are at the moment with TC4 for Business. Enterprise Ethernet is what I really love talking about. I'm really passionate about this product. It is a symmetrical service for starters. And when we deliver enterprise Ethernet, whether you're on FTTP or whether you're on copper or anything like that, we will deliver a brand new fiber service all the way back to our node with no aggregation points. So you get a brand new fiber service all the way to the business premise. Separate fiber, it is within the same ducts and all that, but it is a separate fiber to that network. And on our NNI, it's not combined with all the CVCs of all the people using TC4, so you won't get those 3 o'clock afternoon kids getting home and using the internet speed slowdowns.
Dedicated lane on a highway is always how I like to think about it.
Yeah. We can do 2 flavors, up to 1 gig and up to 10 gig. So 10 gig's been really popular with schools. We're looking at a lot of schools already and looking into how we do, what are the opportunities they've put them into school so they can quickly upgrade when they need it for NAP plan and quickly drop it back down. Business grade SLA, 12/24/7 is standard. Very low entry price. If you're thinking that your customer is too small to have this, think again. We've got customers, we've got takeaway shops, we've got pubs, bars, a lot of small businesses that are actually using enterprise Ethernet as the standard service. It is capable of merging a lot of services into one. Your typical pub is a really good example. They've got ISDN, they've got a couple of TC4s, they've got a legacy Ethernet service. All of that can be collapsed into one single pipe, a couple of SIP channels, and a box to kind of separate the potentially the private and Wi-Fi traffic. So it's a great opportunity for you to start talking to your customers about that. And just a little bit tidbit there, 70% of our enterprise Ethernet sales are to small and medium businesses. So anybody less than 200 employees. We're seeing a lot of it down the bottom end. As I said, pubs, restaurants, yoga clinics. So that's enterprise Ethernet. I'll move straight on into the next slide. So here's just a little typical street. If you look at this, these are your kind of businesses. So on the left-hand side, you've got the businesses that are probably a better candidate for TC4, business TC4, sorry. And on the right-hand side, you've got the customers that are using potential users for enterprise Ethernet. Now, as I said, you've got the chicken shops, for example. they always need that connectivity for all the little menu log and Uber Eats devices. Florist, again, a florist is paying thousands of dollars a year in insurance for their car, but what if their internet goes down and they can't take orders for Mother's Day or Valentine's Day? And gyms are obviously using it for their downloading content. A lot of it's fire alarms and things like that, content subscription. On the right-hand side, it's a couple of things I want to point out. Real estates are really big now. They're doing virtual fly-throughs in houses, uploading a lot of data straight to the cloud. Health is a massive industry for us. We have seen a lot of opportunity in health. We're talking aged care centers. We're talking chemists, even small clinics, dentists, doctors' offices. We've got over 100 services in doctors' houses. Now, when telehealth took off, doctors have had EE installed in their houses so they can communicate with clients with a really solid internet service. And then you've got banks, obviously bigger banks, smaller banks, depending on what they are, but they could use enterprise Ethernet as a service for them. Look, one thing I want to talk about is we've got 321 business fiber zones across Australia. So what we did was we went and worked, some cases just NBN directly, some cases with local governments. We went in and put in fiber to where we see there's a concentration of businesses, right? So we've run fiber there. There's fiber going through if you look through these maps, and we can send you the KML files, there's fiber going past these. There's PDFs, there's lists for all these sites. These are a great, these sites can have access to enterprise Ethernet at zero build. So these are all free build, and the pricing is CBD pricing. So they get the same price in Rockhampton, Southport, Noosa as they would get in Brisbane CBD. So this is a great opportunity to use this to go and look at customers that you've got in the area and talk to them about the product that's available for them to, just really lift the capability of their businesses. We estimate that about 90% of Australian businesses have got access to enterprise Ethernet at zero build at CBD pricing. Now, here's the list there, and we can show you the rest of these lists later. If you've got a customer that hasn't got access to that pricing, so you've got, say, if I'm looking at that top map, say they're at an Adelaide Park and they need a service and there's a fiber build, we've also got a way of making that commercially viable for your customer. So with that, I'd like to hand over to my colleague, Murray. Are you there, Murray?
Sure.
To talk about how we can manage this in a commercial construct.
Yeah, thanks, Kourosh. So I'm the account manager that looks after hosted networks. So everything would obviously go through the hosted networks team. We have 3 commercial offerings that we can assist you with when quoting an opportunity. So I'll give you an example as well. So usually when you want to quote a lock ID or a site, you go to the portal and you put in the lock ID, the bandwidth requirements, and you pretty much submit to see if it's a $0 build or if it's available for EE or if it's not available. Usually if it's not available, you can actually submit a commercial, it's like a template where you can send it through to the guys and we can actually do a commercial analysis on it. And the commercial analysis that we can do for you is either a deal module. So a deal module is we look at the different kind of sites and what the upfront bill charge would be, and we offset it based on what service you have attached to that site. So just to give you an example, if a site costs, $10K upfront bill charge, but you actually have, 100 meg service over a 12-month or a 24-month, that actually pays down. So we come up with the best commercial construct for you in order for you to pay down that site. That's one actual structure. We also have 2 other structures where if you have a multi-site opportunity, so for example, you've got 10 chicken shops, they're a chain, Frangos, let's just call it Frangos, for example, at the moment, and you've won that opportunity, and you come to us and you kind of say, yep, I've got this multi-site opportunity. Some of them are a $0 upfront, or some of them have an upfront bill charge. You can qualify it in the portal, or you can go to your account manager and they can qualify it for you. We actually have 2 other program management systems where you don't actually need to sign a deal module. You just need to, you actually still get a project manager managing those multi-site opportunities, even though we put it through the portal. So we have one for EE, and we also have one with TC4 and an ESLA. So an example of that would be, you know, you've got 10 Frango sites, 5 of them are eligible for an EE, and then the other ones are so small that you probably just need a TC4 with an ESLA. We will actually combine that opportunity for you. We'll give you the best solution for you, and then we'll, if you guys are good to go, we can assign a project manager that will manage it from start to finish, from, you know, from qualifying to submitting the order to delivery. So yeah, so they're the 3 commercial constructs. Again, if you do have any opportunities that you're working on and you're not sure, and you know, you go to the portal and it says, you know, site not found, or you know, contact your account manager, please do so, because we do have a lot of offering that we can you know, offer to you guys. You know, sometimes when it says it's not available, it actually does not mean that it's not available. There is other ways of finding other solutions for those sites. So utilize your team, and yeah, we're here to help whenever you guys need anything.
Great, thanks, Marae. So I guess I just want to kind of wrap up with the NBN piece there. Why it's so important. So we asked NBN to speak today because we quite often see that the wrong solution is put out. Usually it's, hey, straight to the bottom of the price list. What's the cheapest? Cool, away we go. But that'll often cause more headaches down the line, right? So that's what we've found is in the last, I think last quarter of last year, we launched our the NBN business bundles, where you get a discount for ordering the ESLA with the TC4. And now what we've found is 75% of our orders are actually going down that path, right? Which means that we can provide a lot better support to you guys because we're backed by NBN, by the right business team, right? So we can really get things done, and that time to resolution's there. But there's, you know, with the commercial construct, it means that we've also got flexibility for getting things done, right? And NBN, they are actually our favorite carrier to deal with. We do, and we won't name names, but we do deal with a few other carriers, but we're actually able to get things done. They are, any NBN service, particularly the EE side of it, it's also future-proof, right? So if you stick an EE in there, right, it's future-proof. It's up to 10 gig. And whether that's 10 gig today or 10 gig in 3 years, it means that your customer doesn't have to think about that down the line. And the cost of connectivity, as you know, as it has and as it will continue to do, it will go down. So 10 gig will become more and more cost effective. So future-proofing is very important. But I guess what we're trying to really cover off though is getting the right solution in place from the word go is key, right? Because if you don't, someone else is going to come along and they're going to be talking to your customer, be it, you know, someone knocking on the door about an EE and promising all these benefits that maybe, you know, their TC4 doesn't deliver. And, you know, they're potentially going to go down that path. Now, from an MSP perspective, you're typically still going to need to support that service, right? MSP model, you know, typically unlimited support, and your customer expects you to deal with that, right? So what we are trying to encourage and changing that narrative is really making sure the right solution is put in place from the word go, right? Be it EE, be it, you know, a TC4 business bundle. So what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about some of the things that we're doing now about how to make that easier for you guys moving forward. So I've got 2 things that, and it'll start to tie together as we sort of go through. Hopefully you can see that on the screen now. So we've got Project Guardian. So this is us sort of formally announcing Project Guardian, but as well as Secure Network. In conjunction with the guys at Sophos, right? So Project Guardian is a risk-free intelligence service for all hosted network WAN services. And I'll sort of go through that in a little bit more detail, as well as Secure Network being a simple turnkey solution, which is all inclusive. All right, so I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. Go to the next slide. All right, so Secure Network. Today, what we see is we offer a range of different bolt-ons, add-ons. And I've had productization, when we've done these in person, I've had productization calls with a number of the different people in the room. And so it'll be much the same with the people on the call today. And what we've found is that when they're not done correctly after the fact, a disjointed approach, be it, an incompatible router, an AV that's not really being monitored, no real firewall. Secure WAN is designed to avoid that, right? So secure WAN, secure network is a simple, turnkey, and best practice connectivity solution that provides endpoint to edge security, right? This is where the team at Sophos and Hosted Network really come together. Right, so it's a managed endpoint edge protection solution, inclusive of remediation. Right, and Aaron was doing his speed dating, spiel a few moments ago, but that piece about remediation is critical, right? And because the solution is tying everything from endpoint to edge, all of that visibility, all of that intelligence allows them to get their team, their SOC, to get in front of this 24/7. In conjunction with NBN, we're providing best of breed connectivity solutions that are flexible to suit the client, their budget, and their site requirements, as well as any redundancy requirements that they need. To top all that off, the whole thing is fully managed and monitored. So we provide full change management for, be it the firewall, be it the routers on site, the whole piece end to end. The goal of this is to increase your margins, keep your customers happier, keep them uptime, improve their uptime. And when there are issues, improve that time to resolution as much as possible, right? So that's, effectively we're bringing together a best of breed solution across a number of different areas to make sure that you can go to market with a solution that is simple and turnkey. As Aaron said, in Aaron's little network diagram, I joke this every single time we've done this in person, but it's much nicer than this one. Had to squish ours in a little bit, but it is made up, secure network is made up of 3 components. Firstly, the edge security. That is the next generation firewall, or UTM, right? So not, is your window open, is it closed? We're looking at the actual data, who's walking through that front door, where did they come from, all of those bits and pieces. It's delivered though from our layer at our national edge, right? So the importance of that is that means that the connection that we're delivering to is filtered from our side, rather than those threats coming all the way down to the link, potentially saturating your link. So think of things like DDoS attacks and those things, right? We're filtering those out before they impact your customer. What you'd expect from all of your reporting capabilities, right? So full firewall, full endpoint, all of that is combined in a nice streamlined solution. From a connectivity piece of it, this is where we include either a business bundle with all of your ESLAs or a fiber service. All of your equipment is included. All of the on-site equipment up to the edge is included, and it's fully managed. Now, the most important thing here, which is very, very relevant, is, we talk about security vulnerabilities and kind of leaving the front door open. Those of you that have run Dratex, there's been a vulnerability out there, and this happens whether it be Fortinet. There's recently a Fortinet vulnerability as well, and there's Sophos has surely had them as well. But when your firewall isn't patched or your routers aren't patched, it's like leaving the front door open, right? So, and that's part of what we're going to talk about Project Guardian as well. But being managed, we take care of all of that, right? In conjunction with Sophos, we've then got the full visibility to make sure that if, 2 a.m. in the morning, you guys don't have to wake up. The remediation is taken care of for you. And that's where the endpoint piece of it really comes in, right? So this goes beyond the edge and it goes all the way down to the endpoint. Now, most importantly is all of that telemetry, right? Sophos actually have all of that data to actually give you a true root cause analysis. Right. If let's just say we talk about malware, if you're just doing a backup and restore, we don't know that if that backup is, is the attacker still in there? How did they get in there? This provides full intelligence across the stack, right? And that's critical, right? Especially if you haven't attended our cyber insurance webinar that we did a couple of weeks ago that Aaron was on as well. I highly recommend that you watch it because there's a lot of pieces around cyber insurance, not so much for your businesses, but your end customers' businesses, that this really helps meet the requirements of, So in summary, Secure Network is designed to be simple to quote, right? It's a simple to quote turnkey solution, providing better business outcomes for your customers and higher margins for you guys as MSPs, right? It is simple. Rather than having to productize, this is really a bit of a bundle, right? You choose the number of endpoints that you've got, be it, computers or servers. And then from a connectivity side of it, it's the connectivity type and the speed. Everything else is included. All the firewalling, all the equipment, all of the change management, no extra fees. Nice, simple, and turnkey, right? So you guys can go to market very, very quickly. Sorry, just got a couple of questions. So Sophos MDR is part of the solution and is either available via hosted network at the same price that you will purchase it as from any of the disties that are providing it. So the price point is the same, or you can purchase it from your existing suppliers in conjunction with the secure network piece of it, right? So it gives you that flexibility. But ultimately, secure network is designed to remove the need for network engineers or security engineers, right? Adding expertise, not headcount. Decreasing risk, fundamental here, both to you as an MSP, right, and your end customer. Where the threat landscape is going, it is, it's just too complex to manage, both from a networking perspective, but also obviously from a cybersecurity perspective, right? This allows you to focus on growing your business rather than dealing with that noise. When you've chosen Endpoint, EdgePoint, oh my goodness, the MDR solution. Oh, this was a throwback from last week, right? Oh, root cause analysis. Oh, no, not again. It's inclusive of the incident response, right? So when you have that MDR piece of it, that endpoint piece, that means that the Sophos team are able to actually remediate any threats that they detect for you. But ultimately, this is really about setting your business, your MSP up for the future, allowing you to focus on driving sales, increasing your margins, because now you have a differentiating product that doesn't need to be productized from the ground up, right, that you can easily go to market. And finally, it helps you meet things like Essential 8. It helps if you're going to go down the ISO path, it really helps tick those boxes as well. So that is the, I guess, the introduction of Secure Network. We'll be sending out some more information, but if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to our team. But the goal from our side is to change that narrative, make sure that the right solution is put out from the word go. We often find that, and we were an MSP way back when, right? 10 years ago, I think, even then it was easier to quote a laptop than it was a full service solution, because it was, easy to get out the door, right? So this is designed to allow you guys, much more turnkey and simple solution to quote while ticking all of those requirements. So
I think too, Ben, what you mentioned about eating into people's margins, that can't go understated enough, right? So whether it's dealing with security events, which is my side of the fence, or dealing with network problems on the hosted network side of the fence, I'm sure you all out there have had techs pour hours and hours and hours, and perhaps yourselves, into dealing with stuff, right? You just don't know what it is. It's a problem that a customer responds to, and it turns out it's the underlying link, and you're not using EE, you're using TC4, whatever it is. This is designed to make all of that go away, and then you have the right people to ask if you have a security problem or a network problem. So.
Yeah, and I guess when we look at all of our support tickets, and talking to partners, it's so many of them, let's say, oh, cool, we've got an outage, or it's, the connection's been impacted. We've always got to go through our basic bits and pieces, because we don't have visibility. If you're managing the router, or if you've got to provide us, when did it go down? All of those bits and pieces. And quite often or not, far too many partners and MSPs don't have that monitoring, right? So that time to resolution just causes margin burn, right? It hits your bottom line straight away. And this is designed to avoid that, right? You don't have to wear that anymore. You can just focus on that lovely net margin.
Yeah, you spoke about unlimited support, Ben, and to everyone on the call, if you measure, which I encourage you all to do, if you measure your client's profitability on which ones are eating into your margins and which ones are your profitable clients, you always have those months where maybe a really good customer is not good anymore. And whenever you dig in, what's the problem? It's due to an outage. And whenever I dug in further at our MSP, it was that a tech wasted hours mucking around when they could have just logged the fault or escalated earlier. So
yeah, correct. Right.
yeah,
And
escalation. Right. We know it. We know it all too well. So
yeah, so it's designed to be simple, right? Streamline things. But yeah, if you've got any questions, please let us know. You'll start to see more of this, from our team. And if reach out to us, give us a call, speak to your account manager. And like Murray said before, if you do sort of come across, connectivity solutions where, you've got those challenges, you're not sure how they work, reach out. We've got a world of advice. We've seen pretty much every problem under the sun. And, in most cases, we've got a good solution. So
if you want to put NBN on a power pole, Ben, reach out, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. On a signpost.
So one very exciting thing from our side as well is Project Guardian. Project Guardian is a project that's been sort of in our skunkworks for like a year and a half now. And we're sort of releasing this to partners, right? This is a completely free service. There's no charge for this, and there never will be. But what this does is we actually take in a number of different sources of data. And when we detect threats, be it our voice services, be it our infrastructure services, we actually block them at the edge of our network nationally, right? So as it means that it's a bit of a protection umbrella for everyone. And, we've been building this out over, like I said, over the last year and a half. Originally, this was an internal tool, but, in talking to partners, like everything at Hosted Network we've built has been based off feedback, right? So this Project Guardian will be available in the next couple of months within the partner portal for you. And it will give you more visibility into your vulnerabilities of your WAN services, be it connectivity, be it infrastructure as a service, anything that is exposed to the web. And over time, we will be adding in more and more intelligence services that are integrated into this to give you more and more visibility, right? But, as an example, if, we see out of the thousands and thousands of connections that we've got out there, we see some scary stuff, like really scary stuff. And it really is just a matter of, the front doors open. One of our security guys, the other day was joking just how quickly he can get into some of the connections out there. And it really, some cases, it's just a matter because the firmware hasn't been updated on the router or the firewall. Or, port 80, or RDP, is directly open to the web, right? Or an old Exchange server that has been moved to 365, but the Exchange server is still running there, right? We can see a lot of that visibility, and this is really to help you guys, have that visibility yourselves. Did a tech open a port for troubleshooting and accidentally leave it open? This will alert you to that. This will provide you a dashboard for all of your services, as well as intelligence on the individual services themselves, right? So this is designed to give you guys more visibility and hopefully improve your security posture as well. Additionally, if you do have secure network services, it will tell you which services are protected and which ones aren't. So you'll have that extra layer as well. But this has been built based off partner feedback. And if you would like to see certain things included, please let us know. Like everything at Hosted Network, we are fully partner feedback driven. So yeah, record time, guys. We will wrap up, but if anyone has any questions, please let us know. Yeah, that was our introduction into Hosted Network. Hopefully you guys took away some light bulbs around avoiding disjointed connectivity solutions, because ultimately, if there's one thing you can take away from this webinar today, is that if you get the solution right from the word go, you will save yourself a world of pain down the line.
And money.
And money, yes. Well, pain, yeah, right. There's burning money, it hurts. So thank you, Kourosh, thank you, Murray, and thank you, Aaron. And thank you for everyone that attended. Hopefully you enjoyed your lunch. If you do have any questions at all, as always, reach out. Thanks everyone.
Guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.